heart of gold, but ready to fight. Standing tall, doing what's right. Shining truth like a firelight. Daddy's wisdom running deep taught me promises I gotta keep. Breaking chains, leaving pain behind. Calling out the crooked kind. Oh, the truth cuts through the lies. No more secrets in disguise. Second chances, they wear thin. Spawn trooper rides again. Ain't no fear when I'm around. Justice stands on solid ground. One last chance to make it right, or face the reckoning tonight. In the dark where shadows creep, truth rings out, it cuts so deep. Ain't no price to make me sell. Standing strong, I know too well. Oh, the truth cuts through the lies. No more secrets in disguise. Second chances, they wear thin. Spawn trooper rides again. In the dark, where shadows creep, truth rings out, it cuts so deep. Ain't no price to make me sell. Standing strong, I know too well. Oh, the truth cuts through the lies. No more secrets in disguise. Second chances, they wear thin. Spawn trooper rides again.
Warning: the following video contains strong language, which may be offensive to some viewers and or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only. Thank you for your attention. Warning: the following video contains strong language, which may be offensive to some viewers and or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only. Thank you for your attention.
The first thing you hear is a cough. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you've got yourself ready. You know, it's very important that you have your cocktails ready. Yeah, get it? Cocktails. So, what we're going to do tonight, it's going to be an interesting one. And you're wondering, what's going to be so interesting? Everything he does is interesting. Well, not every time. Now, tonight is going to be a very interesting topic. So, good evening, everybody. And my fans on the outside, thank you so much for being here. Oh, yeah. Now, before I start, like I said, I will respond to negativity if I have to. Hi, Squid. I will have to respond to negativity if I have to, or if I believe what has been said is untrue. Right, so first things first. It was mentioned about, having Restream. As you can see at the top left hand there, I've got Restream. Oh no. But here's the thing. If it's not broken, why try to fix it? If it's free, do you hear me complain? No, you don't. Why should I pay for something that I am able and capable to be able to use without breaking a sweat? And also, I was also given the information to log in to a certain person, Michelle's, Restream, but I decided not to. The reason being is because that's not a true representation of myself. Now, if I want to get Restream Pro, I'll do so. If I want to, Paul Marine, how you doing, big man? If I want to do anything and spend money on it, I will do so. I don't need other people's permission. I don't need other people's nothing. Okay. Now, the second point. Well, wait, hang on a minute. And the thing is, when I am on my stream, I am representing myself with the tools I have got. And a lot of people out there should remember one thing. That goes for everybody. Right? If it's free and it's got certain restrictions, then you work with the restrictions you've got. And if you're not capable to work with the restrictions, but you want to be flamboyant and everything else, that is entirely up to you. But remember one thing. Use the tools you've got. It's simple. Right, that's that done. That's got a tick. About half a week ago, someone tried to get me to post my link in Megan Fox's and Tug's stream. Unsuccessfully. In return, I played a little trick, or a little game, and I got the result I wanted. Now, if someone comes into my stream and wants to post a link, right, and they do that, and I'm going to use the perfect example because that individual's here. Squid Pro came in one day and posted a link without asking me. And Squid, would you like to type in exactly what I said and what I did? And what I did after the stream? While you're typing that up, I'm going to carry on talking. Now, if I'm going to post anyone's link, I will do that. If someone asks me, regardless who they are, said, hey, can you plug this link? I will do so if they ask. If I don't want to do it, I'll say no. For example, someone came in and asked me if I could put the link up, they wanted to make an announcement, could they put the link up for the expert? Absolutely. Absolutely. Right? So I did. Well, come on. I'm just getting you back for the other day. I didn't throw you under the bus, but anyway, Mama Squid's here. She'll protect me. And you should know that, because, it was public, by the way. I didn't throw you under the bus, and I'm not a jackass. It's Mr. Jackass, thank you. You're always picking on me. I need someone to hold my hand. You're always picking on me. No, it wasn't deliberate. Okay, that's one thing I can say. It wasn't deliberate because we've got an understanding of, and it was an automatic thing what she did, and I was like, hey, fucking no. Bad lady. No, you will not do that. And, and there was an apology made and everything was, Mama Squid's on my side. Anyway, so, but when it comes to plugging and representing other people, if I do it because I want to do it. If someone turns around to me and says, hey, like Mama Squid, for example, or Ammo Girl or Eric, it's like, hey, can you plug my stream, or Missy Lady or anyone else? I'll be more than happy to do that. At the end of the day, I have my rules. You don't like it, you don't have to discuss it, you don't have to bring it up, because at the end of the day, when I choose to do something with my platform or with my channel, it is my choice, no one else's. Yeah, okay, I got your hint, Squid. You don't have to go on. Stop shouting at me. Oh shit, am I gonna get it? Anyway, something else. A few weeks ago, Jeremy Hells mentioned someone was trying to do a deal, and it was like, you know, he's got a beard, first name's David, and the first thing I said, Helms, David Helms, because you have to remember, David Helms is probably an obnoxious, two-faced fuck, but he's out of everyone in this whole anti-what the hell's ecosystem, he's probably the only one who, in my opinion, this is my personal opinion, people may disagree, yeah, I know, Bob, but I can handle Squid. I've got Mama Squid to protect me. But anyway, and I find it quite interesting that a lot of people on their streams or their platforms seem to be copying certain individuals, and they start to doing a blame game about different things. But we're not going to go into that, because the thing is, like, if I talk generically about something, right? If I talk generically about something, right, there are certain people out there who are so paranoid that they think we're discussing them. We're not. It's a generic thing. So anyway, right, tonight is a very interesting stream. It's a very interesting stream because, like, through conversations I've had and other beautiful, beautiful things, there's something I would like to point out that I've just noticed. There you go. Is the fact, that's better, is the fact that this hasn't been mentioned. So I thought I'd bring it up because, not because I've spoken to my attorney, but something else brought this up. Now, there's a thing called SLAPP. And what that stands for, right, is a strategic lawsuit against public participation. And basically, it's a lawsuit or a threat of lawsuits aimed at intimidating or silencing someone who has criticized or exposed wrongdoing, particularly in matters of public interest. The lawsuits often exploit power imbalances and financial resources, making it difficult and costly for defendants to respond. Key characteristics of SLAPP. Targeting public participants. SLAPPs often target acts of public participation. One second. Participation, such as journalism, activism, whistleblowing, or academic research, all of which contribute to public discourse. Now, there's a lot of things that a lot of channels have discussed, and then you get that indirect, and a lot of people don't realize that there are certain platforms out there who are trying to deter people from talking about the what the hell sits. And some platforms decide not to talk about it, but use it as an example. Say, for example, if someone is talking about a court case, a different court case, they will then, if there's something familiar or similar in that court case, they will use what's going on now with as an example. But the moment they start talking about it, you'll get this behavior. You'll get a SLAPP. Right? Aiming to silence criticism. The purpose of a SLAPP is to prevent the publication or dissemination of information about the potential wrongdoing or the discourse individuals from raising public concerns. Now, if you remember back when I was confronting, or when I was, when I was going toe-to-toe with Bruce Matskin, I caught him out in a lot of undoings. I caught him a lot in lies, you know, and not just him, but multiple people. And yes, even fucking blow up doll lover. Right? Every single person who I have gone toe to toe with, who have made mistakes, right? have tried to circumvent and try to use the SLAPP technique to silence people. For a perfect example, right now, I have been asked by multiple people, right, to one second. Wait, 1 second. One second. Rogue Mama, good evening to my stream. Wow. Okay, welcome to the stream. Right. Wow, I'm a bit surprised. Sorry, I'm trying to read something, so I didn't see. So, Rogue Mama, welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining me. And while we're on that topic, I just want to point out that in the stream, when I come into Tug's or Megan's stream or Travis's or Experts or anyone else's Squids or anyone else's stream, I will always respect that platform in regards of just posting shit, because I've seen a lot of negativity come from that. But the thing is, what I found quite interesting, when a complete stranger, and because I'm quite quick off the mark, when someone says, "Oh, I hear you got a channel," some people will go, "Oh yeah, here we go," click, and next you know, right? Luckily, there's a lot of channels out there who automatically block people if they're not a moderator, right? They'll block people from posting links, and only moderators or the host can post a link. But with that situation, it was definitely an entrapment, a situation where someone was trying to get me into trouble with obviously you and other moderators in that stream. And I have never ever had any issues in Tug stream, in Megan's stream, or when they're both together, ever. Or even What the Hells, for that matter. And the result was what you saw a couple of days afterwards. Now, and I don't expect anyone else to do that. But the thing that there was the perfect example when someone was trying to drag you into it. And I will always ask if I can. If they say no, not a problem. I'm not going to lose any sleep over that. That's just for the record. And, you know, I mean, obviously there's a reason why that was attempted, but they failed abysmally. Now, going back to the topic, exploiting legal, right, where was I? Oh, yeah, aiming to silence the criticism, potential wrongdoing, blah, blah, blah. Right, exploiting legal process. But one thing I will say, okay, please, I get it, you Rogue Mama, you're a mod in Megan and Tugs, but at the same time, I'm asking you, welcome to the stream. Please respect the community, respect each other. If you want to give constructive criticism, that is welcomed. You know, we're here, we're open for dialogue. However, just saying, just sit down, chill out, enjoy the stream. I say it as it is. A lot of people don't like that. I'm not scared of going toe to toe with anybody. But the thing is, I do show respect. And just for the record, in the past, I have been in touch with Tug behind the scenes. Just not blow my own trumpet. Don't have to. But the thing is, obviously, some people need to learn. You know, need to understand that I'm just not, you know, that sheep shagging mouthpiece who, you know, just says words and has no meaning behind it. As I said, from day one, I've always followed up with facts and proof with anything I say. 99% of the time, it's always someone else's words. I just show people. Anyway, we digress. So, I've just, 1 second, I need to respond to another massage. Yeah. Yep. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. Exploiting the legal process. SLAPP can involve aggressive pre-action letters, multiple jurisdictions, and extensive litigation, and financially and psychologically exhaust the defendant. Now, let's look at that. No, let's not look at that. Let's carry on. Lack of merit. Many SLAPP claims are unfounded and lack a strong legal basis, yet a legal process can be burdensome and costly for the defendant. Now, let's just say Jeremy is the defendant in all this. Right? Excuse me. Now, what I want you guys to do, I want you to try to stay with me on this. I want you to try to step out of the box and look at this from a distance. In fact, I want you to look at it from such a distance that you're going to need, right? You're going to need a freaking telescope. You need to step out of that comfort zone, take off those blinders, and listen to what's being said here tonight. Because you're going to see so many you're going to see so much from what the fuck? Familiar, or you're going to hear very familiar sentences and words that I want you to then think about what we've been witnessing over the last year. My good God, my brain had a fart then. Impact of SLAPPs. Reputational damage. SLAPPs can cause significant harm to defend the reputation and professional standing, even if the case is eventually dismissed. Financial burden. The cost of defending against a SLAPP can be substantial, including legal fees, expert witness costs, and other litigation expenses. Suppression of freedom of speech. Oh, here we go. Suppression of freedom of speech. The threat of SLAPP can deter individuals from speaking out about matters of public interest, chilling public debate and scrutiny, undermining the rules of law. Now we're digging. SLAPPs can erode trust in the legal system by exploiting it for abusive purposes. Have you all stepped out of the box? Hi, Genty. Welcome to the stream, by the way, Phil. Have you all stepped out of the box? Are you now outside away with your binos, your Mark 1 binocular, and you're looking in? Keep looking. Addressing SLAPPs. Legislative fucking food forms. Several countries have introduced or are considering legislation to protect against SLAPPs, such as anti-SLAPP laws for following early dismissal or unfounded claims. Legal aid and support. Now that's over here in the United Kingdom. Providing legal aid to those targeted by SLAPP can help ensure that they have access to representation and can effectively defend their rights. So here's a word of advice to any of the Americanese people who have threatened to sue and try to take the rights of freedom of expression and freedom of speech here in the UK, because what I'm reading out to you, ladies and gentlemen, is actually a SLAPP over here in the UK. Yes. Legal aid support, yeah. So representation, right. Raising awareness, education, educating the public about SLAPP and their impact can help prevent misuse and encourage more robust public discourse. Examples. For example, Earthrights International found that the fossil fuel industry used SLAPP tactics to target more than 150 individuals and organizations over a 10-year period. And boy, did they got hammered. The European Commission has introduced new rules to protect journalists and human rights defenders from SLAPPs, allowing for early dismissal and manifest unfounded claims. Now, here's the thing. We're no longer part of the EU, right? So that doesn't, yeah. Right, the House of Commons Library provides research and information on SLAPPs, including the potential for legislation measures to address the issue. So if anyone in the United States, especially someone who likes to use, who wants to impersonate Shrek, or someone who wants to, battle a dragon, or someone who thinks that he's a journalist, but, no. This is in the UK. So if you want to, scream threat or scream defamation or slander or anything else, okay, and then you start with the behavior that we've been witnessing from multiple people and platforms over the last period when all this kicked off, then people need to start thinking about this SLAPP law. I'm going to show you a screenshot in a minute. Don't you worry, I've got everything ready for you. So I decided tonight, because obviously I did some research and I went into the legal websites and everything else over here. It was quite interesting. And obviously, because my accountant is also a QC, I asked him as well. But we digress. Here's how to recognize. Obviously, we just went through this, right? So I put it in and I went generic. While SLAPPs can vary in form, defamation, nuisance, business interference claims, here are the key warning signs that a lawsuit may be a SLAPP. The target spoke out on a public issue, defending made statements or took actions related to government, corporate behavior, environmental concerns, protests, or community safety. The lawsuit is filled by a powerful entity. The plaintiff is often a business, developer, politician, or other influential party trying to silence critics with fewer resources. The claim seems exaggerated or unlikely to succeed. Yeah, I'm just going to carry on. The timing appears retaliatory. The lawsuit closely follows the defendant's public statement or activism implying a direct link. The damages sought are excessive. Plaintiffs may demand huge amounts of money for beyond any realistic harm caused as a scare tactic. The lawsuit has a chilling effect. Even before it goes to trial, the suit may discourage others from speaking out due to fear of being sued. Now, a lot of people are going to turn around and go, oh, wait a minute, Jeremy Hells does this, Jeremy Hells does that. No, Jeremy Hells has been defending himself from day fucking one. He has been protecting himself. He has gathered information. He has basically fired so many shots across people's bowels that he should be given a Nobel Prize for being the most nicest person to actually tell people, leave me the fuck alone. But no one did. And now look where they are. And from the minute go, you had one group of people, the crampons, or also known as the fleas, or the walruses and everything else. Because Lisa Lee had a personal vendetta towards Jeremy on multiple levels, she decided to then use her platform to, prior to actually getting involved with Lynette and Preston, she would talk shit about Jeremy. But then she noticed a entry. She saw that door was open and went, ooh, Lynette Preston, this and that. There's a thing going on. Well, let's jump on there. And then you saw things develop. You saw the relationship develop between Lisa, Tori, and everyone else, and with Lynette Preston and John Cook. And it started building itself up. And lo and behold, now they've got a reason. Now they've got a justified reason to fucking go after Jeremy. So they spent, until this day, grifting, making money out of it, using the whole situation and using Lynette Preston and John Cook and that child, right, for personal vendetta, for character assassination, defaming, slandering, talking crap. And if anyone spoke up, these people get slapped. And then next thing you know, who do we have coming in? Just before that, right, we have Killnose, Mr. Foreskin himself, suddenly appeared, threw his teddy out of the pram, or how can you put it? How do you say it in America? Spat his pacifier out, right? Because Silverman or Silverscan wouldn't give him, Squid, I'm watching chat while I'm talking. I'm watching you go. Watching you. I'm watching you. Anyway, and he threw his teddy out the pram. And I covered that. And I said from the get-go that this was a personal vendetta. This was a character assassination without, And there's a lot of people out there who jump on the bandwagon and they like to flap their gums, but they haven't done any research. By the time all this started, I already knew everything about Bruce. I knew when he went to law school. I knew what he worked, where he worked, when he got fired, why he got fired, and everything. Because I've done the research, because everything's online. I already knew about the mac and cheese, and I knew everything about him. That's why I was confident enough to sit there and go, "You're full of shit, mate." You know. And then he complained about me coughing, sneezing, fart. And that's another fart. How the hell would you be able to hear me fart when I do silent killers? Really? Yeah. Fucking. Well, I'm going to sit here and go, you know what I mean? One night I actually sat on here and I was making noises with my mouth and he thought I was actually farting. What a fucking idiot. Anyway, now, when you look at that, and then suddenly it was like someone opened the door and pushed me into a room full of absolute buffoons. People who fell out the idiot tree, the stupid tree, hit every branch on the way down, picked up a ladder and went, "I'm going to go back up." And someone said, No, you don't have to. Congratulations, you've been promoted to branch manager. You may continue to the bigger tree. Seriously, it made as much sense as a fart in a spacesuit. We've got Crusher. We've got Jabba the Hoot, Super Dave. He's not really super. Right? And then you've got Robbie. Then you've got the fleas and whatever. People go, "Oh, Kendra this, Kendra that." Kendra's got nothing to do with it. Kendra is like one of these, it's like when you go to an MC club. She's like a hang-around, hangabouts or hang-arounds or whatever they're called. Not a prospect, right? But they're hang-arounds. So you watch all this build, and then suddenly, right, you've got the deflections, you've got the thumbnail case, you've got everything else. Everything and up to there, when these cases then came onto the docket, right, it was all about trying to intimidate and slap the shit out of Jeremy so he would back off. But he doubled down. He said, "Oh, no, you're not bullying me. You're not harassing me. You're not stopping me from speaking. I have the right to speak." Okay. So they doubled down again. So it was like doubling down. There was a lot of doubling down going on. And lo and behold, these two cases appeared. Now, one was totally frivolous because against under the tenant and landlord rules in the States, right, a tenant has the right to ask anybody, maybe a professional company or a friend, to help them remove their own personal belongings from the property. Second of all, right, it doesn't matter who it is. If they happen to know Jeremy Hells, it's beside the point. The fact of the matter is, Lloyd asked for help and he was given help. And there was a lot of people with big hearts, right, who went to help. There was also a police officer, or let me re-say that. There was a Corporal Gregory of the Levy County Sheriff's Department. Okay, he's earned that rank, so he deserves to be addressed as that, unless otherwise. And they went there under the law, by the law, right? Whilst they were there removing everything, okay, obviously things started getting a little bit scary because, like, there were some pews that disappeared, but they were found in the end. And the fact that a individual who cries wolf about, "Oh, you can't video, you can't be near my door, blah, 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 blah," right? But then tries to lock her child and was told by the Corporal Gregory 4 times, from what I can remember, off my head, from what I can remember, told 4 times not to lock a child in that camper. And she says that she's disabled, but she turned into fucking Bionic Woman. She literally pulled out all these toolboxes and shit like that with one arm whilst holding a fucking phone in her hand. Hello? I mean, really? How the hell can you, I mean, if you're disabled and you, God knows what, discs or whatever, right? I mean, yeah. And then we have the history of Lynette Preston, or whatever name that chameleon lizard wants to use. Okay, I mean, just 38 different variations. Now, if people actually paid attention to what I was saying, she lived in 4 different places that include from 1996 until present day. And there were 4 names. However, none of those names, right, had Michelle in, or Lynette, if I can remember correctly. I would have to probably go and check, but that's a 90% guess. Now, don't you find it interesting that the last place she was, Northport, where she was under a different name, and the name Ruby was a surprise to me. Yeah, she's not a Ruby, that's for sure. Fucking hell, you're putting down diamonds. Anyway, all right, and the moment she got caught out or called out about her stories, right, obviously one thing led to the other. Next to know, Otter Creek, there you go. Now, one thing we have to remember, ladies and gentlemen, anyone who lives in Otter Creek, yeah, you're famous now. A small village in Levy County that no one knew about is now famous. And it's not because of Jeremy Hells. It's because of all these fucking idiots who've caused nothing but problems. And we had the pleasure of actually watching a comedy show for free with Don, Russ, and everyone else on that freaking stage. I mean, who can complain when you're getting free comedy? you're getting a crime show, you're getting a documentary, and you're getting a comedy all at the same time. I mean, who can complain? But we digress. So while all this is going on, this ecosystem starts getting bigger and bigger, and then suddenly we've got new additions. We've got roly-poly Mr. Magoo, who doesn't use his arse when he goes for a poo. He turns around, starts talking, give him a tissue, tell him to take his face for shit, then at least he's got something to wipe his mouth with. Wants to challenge everyone to combat. In actual fact, is probably the luckiest human being on this planet, because there's a lot of people out there, if you said to, I'm challenging you to fucking combat, trial by combat, bye-bye. Who was he? Sorry. Anyway, and then he's walking around, like I put a post up, age 5+ toys from Toys R Us, plastic shit. I mean, who would take someone like this serious? The fact that he spent 2 years in a federal prison and then 2 years on federal probation for shit that I'm not going to repeat, because at the end of the day, it's out there. If you want to find out, go and do your own research. I've already mentioned it. I'm not going to mention it again. I'm not a parrot. Now, what I do find very interesting is this. Why is it that when you talk about this, right, why is it that you'll get certain channels or certain people, right, they'll jump in and they go, oh, they're talking shit. They don't know about American law. They don't know about this. They don't know about that. But here's the thing. People talk about SLAPP law and everything else, but they don't explain to you, because there's 2 different types of SLAPP laws, right? And also something else, I find it quite strange. Here's a word of advice, people. If you're going to subscribe to my stream and come into my stream and then unsubscribe, that's not cricket. Just saying, right? Just in future reference, have a little bit of respect and courtesy. I don't mind. It doesn't bother me, but I just thought I'd point that out, because it's a little bit of a slap in the face, but not a problem. I can handle it. Quality over quantity. Now, so suddenly you got these people coming in, and then you got Volp. Now, Volp has a connection to, from what I understand, with Megan. At some point, they must have worked together or communicated WhatsApp. And Megan is a very intelligent lady. She can smell lies and bullshitters from a mile away. And I think that's what she realized with Volp. And I call him Skeletor. Hello, you guys. And then you got Mr. Magoo, who talks a lot of poo. These two, it's like watching Laurel and Hardy, one dumber than the other. And then suddenly, you're minding your own business, just watching this this absolute circus going from one absurdity to the next. And then you got other people thinking that they're clever, and they're sitting on different platforms and talking crap, and they don't realize that they actually know better than some of these people. And then suddenly you get Shrek. I mean, I cannot find a comment. I don't know a comment. But when you've got someone who just appears from nowhere, has no bearing whatsoever in the case, and doesn't know any of the plaintiff or the defendant or anyone involved except one person. Maybe Bruce, maybe Volt, maybe Luthman. Who cares? No one does. I don't. Richly appears out of freaking nowhere like a fucking secret fart, and then starts slapping around this perfect word, slap, trying to intimidate and scare people from, oh, well, if we say anything, we're going to get sued. Ladies and gentlemen, that there is the perfect example of the abbreviation of SLAPP. This woman, this Madame Tussauds reject. I mean, if she was on the Titanic, she would probably only be the only survivor floating with her lips like. Anyway, the one that can't dance for shit will sit on the platform. And here's the thing. I have the right to freedom of speech and expression. Hi, Teresa. And what you have to understand is that I don't even live in your country. I know hardly anything about your laws in your country. I mean, I know a little bit about your constitution or your but really? And then people want to call us Brits or Europeans thick, fat, ugly. I will take that every day, because one thing you won't say to me is that we're thick or we're slow and we don't understand shit. And 12th June, when there was a Zoom, that there answered everything. The fact that this judge sat there and experienced, and congratulations, by the way, Jeremy Hells, for sitting there and being so calm, right? The fact that that he experienced that, I think that he's going to go, yeah, I'm going to fucking go by the syllable. I'm going to take out the law book of laws, the book of laws, the holy book of books, and I'm going to stick syllable by syllable, page by page. And Deuce Boy, he hasn't been slapped with that sanction yet. He's still got that coming, irregardless of what he does or says. I mean, they've got $6,000 or just over $6,000 for a legal representative for Lynette. Hey, John, you go around people's streams, apparently, allegedly, and you're throwing out threats and giving it large and, swinging your man sausage around, not the one between your legs, the one on your forehead. And you seem to, think you're clever, but wouldn't you be better advised to start contacting like companies who can do legal advice or legal support pro se? Just a thought, because your ex-wife or the woman who you seem to be protecting, but she's thrown you under the bus so many times. I'm surprised that you are not a mechanical specialist when it comes to buses, especially the short yellow one. I'm a bit taken back by that one. But the thing is, everyone forgets one thing. The most important thing about those two is that little 5-year-old who is who's weaponized by everybody, who's used as a monetary poster girl, so to get funds and money, and this has been going on for years. She is basically being used as a poster girl for GoFundMes and everything else. Do your research. It's everywhere. Newspapers, you name it. Now, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, peasants of all kinds, and humanoids, members of the jury, Your Honour. How the fuck can some Welsh git in the UK 6,000 miles away figure this out? But everyone are running around in a fucking circle. How does that make you feel? And I'm not the only one, right? There are other people around the world who's probably done exactly the same thing I've done. But they're lucky they haven't done it publicly, and they're not being chastised and fucking berated and attacked and from every angle, and then told to shut up, stop talking about it. You shouldn't be talking about it. You Brits don't know shit. You don't, you know. And then you wonder why that I bring up the minority instead of the majority of people I've met are fantastic, but there is a minority that, you know. I mean, you definitely need to be institutionalized. The door needs to be closed, and you need to be watched for a very long period of time, because the behavior is not becoming a human being. The behavior is not of someone who richly cares about another human being. It's all about me, 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 me. I could richly write down at least 20 names right now where it's all about me, 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 me. If they can get something from you, or they can get something out of you, they can get this and they can get that, right? For them, it's a con. They've conned that out of you. Now, I've been saying from day one, crampons, perfect example. From day one, I've been mentioning, where's the transparency? Where's the receipts? And then there was people out there who were trying to convince me, oh, by the way, look, I've got a list of gift cards with all the dates and the numbers on it. And I'm like, right, okay, yeah. One mistake. What's that? There's 3 digits missing off the gift card numbers. Really? Yeah. Oh, that's all right. Don't worry about it. And then they fuck off and block me or whatever. Here's the thing, though. There wasn't. I just said that to I wanted to see the reaction. You see, mind games, right? Playing mind games and, you know, using a little bit subterfuge doesn't hurt as long as you do it properly and there's no malice behind it. If you're not trying to, you know, hurt someone with the subterfuge, and, you know, it's fair. And it's not the first time I've done that. I've done it to multiple people. I'm not worried. I'm not scared of saying that. But I've only done it to people who I don't trust. And every single person I talk to, I trust. Even though sometimes they're a pain in the ass, but I still trust them. But when it comes to this group of people that everyone seems to go, oh, you're fucking hating that. This is why you need to, because you're reacting emotionally. You need to step out of the box and actually look at it from a distance and look at why they're doing what they're doing. And then look at the people who support them. Look what's been happening over the last few months. When you take someone else's word, or you take someone else's comment, or you take something what they've said, and you hand it back to them to prove them wrong, and you don't use your own wording, or you don't change the narrative or the context of that, and you just go, here you go, that's what you said last week. But today you said something else, but this is what you said last week or last month or last year. There's no ifs or buts. You've lied. And I proved that a month ago. I proved categorically with 100% that on the 17th of October 2024, the crampons had collected all the money for the fence. But not one fucking person said anything. So I thought I'd remind you, and look what happened. Oh, I got a lot of hate on that one. Oh, did I get a lot of hate on that? Right? And this is my point. This SLAPP system, it happens, and people don't realize it's right there. It happens to you every day with this whole situation. It's okay, Squid. When you wake up tomorrow morning with a hangover, just go and just press replay and just listen. Anyway, you're a pain in the ass. Where was I? No, 3. The claim seems exaggerated and unlikely to succeed. The legal claims may be weak, vague, and based on minor technicalities, suggesting the case isn't really about seeking justice, but about creating pressure. Now, that's definitely Bruce there. All right, the timing appears retaliatory. Yeah, that's the same thing. Damages sought are excessive. Yeah, whatever.
The lawsuit has a chilling effect. Yes, it does. How to respond to and or protect against the SLAPPs. Anti-SLAPP laws, many jurisdictions, sorry, especially in the US, Canada, and parts of Europe, have laws that allow early dismissal of SLAPPs and sometimes require a plaintiff to pay the defendant's legal fees. Legal support, engage a lawyer experienced in SLAPP defenses. Public support and media, drawing attention to the lawsuits can sometimes help by exposing it as a public tactic. Now, things that are said about me, said about other people, okay? And when someone says anything, okay, there's a chain reaction. And one thing you have to remember is that there's always going to be proof. There's always going to be evidence. Because with all this case going on, people were taking screenshots, they were taking clips, they were recording everything. And that's why there's so much evidence stacked up against Lynette Preston, the anti what the hell's ecosystem. And a lot of people are forgetting that part and they're just following what's happening on that day. But you need to take everything and put it together as one package. Public support and media. This is a good one. Drawing attention to the lawsuit can sometimes help by exposing it as a bullying tactic. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Now, in summary, a SLAPP is not about winning in court, but about silencing critics through intimidation. Recognizing that signs early can help individuals and communities respond effectively and protect their right to speak out on important issues. So it's understanding and knowing when it's happened. And it's happened. It's happened by a lot of people. You know, when people try to intimidate or try to harass and I believe Squid Pro Quo is going to be doing something soon or tomorrow or this or whenever in regards to something, but I'm not going to mention it. I'm going to leave that up to Squid to announce. But it's going to be, and this is why I'm glad that she's here, because she can now take this and inject it into her topic, and this will then help you understand much more about what's going on than some people have been doing. You know, it's okay if you hate someone or dislike someone and stuff like that, but when you step over that line, right, in harassment, cyberbullying, intimidation, the deflection, dishonesty, lying, fabrication of story, you know, it does become quite serious. And the thing is, you are not, just because you're in America or you're in Europe, you are not protected by the consequences. But the thing is, here in Europe, right, we've got something that in the States is very hard to get. We can get legal representation for the Baileys, for High Court, for Crown Court, for Magistrates Court. And we can get it for free. And they will do their job, because the thing is, the higher the court case, the more they're going to invest to make the money. Because at the end of the day, for them, it's, for a QC, you're looking at £500 to £600 an hour. Okay, so that's nearly $1,200 an hour. And they will work. They will sit there and they will do their job. They will defend you. So you have to take that into consideration. People believe that they're untouchable. Everyone has a freedom of speech. I get that. In America, freedom of speech. Everyone has a freedom of expression. Now, over in America, you have your constitution, and I respect that. Over here, if we had followed the Magna Carta and the rules within the Magna Carta, trust me, it would have been a different ballgame over here. Unfortunately, you know, you guys over there are 300 years old. We're quite a few hundred years, over a couple of thousand years, right? So there's there's definitely a disconnect in communication, different laws and stuff like that. But one thing that both countries have in common is their SLAPPs, the SLAPP law. But we over here have something that I don't think 250. I don't think that you have an estate. It's not that what I've been hearing. Yes, you get pro se. You can get like you can get lawyers, state lawyers or whatever representation. But over here, we get top-notch lawyers. We can get QCs. We can get lawyers, proper lawyers. Right. So and you know, so when Megalips, when Shrek, I mean when her, when she threatens people in the States and in Europe or around the world, right? It's not going to be thousands of dollars in cost. It's going to be hundreds of thousands, and it won't stop at that. Because one thing you have to understand is that people on this day and age will keep records. They'll keep screenshots. They'll keep recordings and everything else. And no matter if you delete shit or not, it can always be recovered. It's a shame that it's come to this. It's a shame that there are now people on the platform, especially people who have more clout than small creators like myself, even though I'm not monetizing, even though I'm not going to monetize because the reason about all this. Because at the end of the day, when all this is over and done with, there's going to be a lot of sore heads. It's going to be like you're suffering from a big hangover. It's like they said in a couple of years' time, there's going to be a solar flare and all electronics are going to, not work for a couple of weeks. I mean, look what happened when TikTok went down for 24 hours. Not even that. It caused a world state panic. You take your phones off your kids, or you turn off, you say, oh, you can't use your phone at work or something like that. People actually have withdrawal symptoms. This day and age, people spend more time on their electronic devices than they do socializing with other human beings. And I've experienced it. I've had someone sit in the same environment, the same area as I was, and that fucker texted me. And I just looked up and looked over at him, and I went, "Are you a dick?" And he went, "All right." I went, "You." And then I turned around and I went, "You must be the no one you." I'm not going to go into what I said, but let's put it this way: the whole platoon just laughed. All of us were just laughing, and that's banter, that's a joke. But he was like 10 meters away from me, and he texted me on a phone. Texted me. I'm surprised he didn't pick up his phone and phone me. But yeah, this SLAPP thing, plus the parasocial stuff that was discussed on Squids, and cyberbullying, cyber harassment, some people are now deflecting. They're trying to hide the topics. They're trying to move away from certain topics. But what they don't realize is that they're being watched like a hawk. People want answers. People want to know what's going on. Why is it that certain individuals are still on their platforms flapping their gums, knowing full well that they're going to be in federal court soon? And the fact that now that it's back on, you would think that some of these individuals would decide to, stop talking shit and actually give their ass a chance. Because once they stop talking, at least then they can use the excuse of, yeah, I was fine, but they're not doing that. It's absolutely insanity from what I've been witnessing. And over the recent couple of weeks, I've been doing some proper research. I mean, I'm not going to go into it, but yeah. I even spoke to a relative, and yes, I have a relative in Australia. And I mean, I'm not going to discuss it. It's up to that individual to discuss it himself. It's not up to me, because I've come to a point now where no matter what these individuals say is a lie. I see now two groups of people on both sides of the coin exactly the same. There's no difference. The only difference is that one side have grifted, the other side are grifting, but what they're doing, they just sit there and flap their gums and talk shit, whereas the other side have grifted, have lied to people and taken advantage of people and never shown proof. But when you actually show other people, when, like, for my sake, when I've shown everyone, hey, here's the fact, here's the actual words, here's the timestamp, here's the date, I don't see anyone saying, hey, Lisa, what about this fucking day when you said this, this, and this, and this? Why are these people not being confronted? Why is that? Is everyone so desperate to be involved in drama and negativity and toxicity? Or is it just because, like, you're either too afraid because you don't want to be targeted? Or is it because, like, at the end of the day, you've come to the realization that, you know, these people, no matter what you say or do, they're not going to stop. And there's a lot, you know. So, but here, let me show you something. This here, even though it's a bit blurry, I do apologize for this. All right. If you want, take a screenshot of it. I do apologize for the blurriness. I will at some point try to find a clearer version of that. So, again, I apologize. I didn't realize it was going to be blurry like that. Yeah, I was a Jen. I know. But again, one subject is being ignored, and that's what people should be concentrating on. Is that small child, the child, the little girl? She should be, you know, in an environment where it's clean, it's safe. She's not surrounded by the type of issues that she is. Now, at the end of the day, no one here can say that Lynette is a bad mother because there's no evidence or proof. However, having a child in this environment and under these circumstances, is it healthy for that child? No, it's not. Anyone who's a parent will agree with that. And the fact that you're trying to teach a child to say what she said when Travis was streaming and she was under the fence shouting, you know, Super Dave or whatever it was, I can't remember. But stuff like that, you're teaching a child at a very early age to be as obnoxious as you are. And you shouldn't be doing that. Right? I have seen children, and my own children have at that age were able to speak, were able to articulate fairly easily. Problem is, though, HG doesn't have other children around her, so she can interact and relate to other children. You know, because children learn off each other as well as off adults, but they learn way quicker off each other, right? Because when they're playing with each other, when they're running around and that stuff like that. And I just find it so despicable that the law or no one has actually done something. That's one thing I will never get my head around. And, you know, I am disgusted that people have not spoken up about this in actual detail, that they haven't done the research and going, well, hang on a minute, why is the notary going onto the platform of the crampons and talking about that adoption? I thought that adoption was sealed. So why is a notary going on that platform and discussing it? And then halfway through that discussion, suddenly turns around and goes, that doesn't make any sense. I need to have a look into that. Go and watch that if it's still up. You'll be very surprised. So explain to me how the hell they got that notary on to that platform. Or was it subterfuge? Was it someone else acting as that person? Just like the other day in Daniel's stream. Now, Daniel is being targeted. Daniel is being targeted by everybody now for some reason, just because he's speaking out, because he's talking about a topic, even though he like we said this morning, just move on, just go and do your bit. Okay, and now he is topic of conversation. Why is he topic of conversation? Because he's outspoken? Doesn't he have the right of freedom of speech? Can't he sit on his platform and say what he wants to say? What makes him any different than to you or to me? You know? I mean, give me one fucking good answer. Because no one will be able to give me a good answer. Because this is what they call indirect bullying. This is what they call social bullying. Look it up. I don't say it just for the sake of it. Look it up. Social bullying. 99% of the time, people don't realize they're doing it. But here, they know. The fact that you've got someone who thinks they're clever going into someone's stream and responding and sounding and acting like a representative of YouTube. And then you got John Cook comes in and talks out of his ass, but nothing different. You know, I wouldn't expect anything different from that idiot. You know, I mean, it's frustrating because I'd love to say what I think, but I can't, even though it's freedom of speech, because I don't want to lower myself to that level. Yeah, exactly, Lisa. At start night, I get congested. That's weather related, but I don't think my voice will ever go back to normal. No, you're still going to sound like Minnie Mouse. Sorry, Sienna. Hi, Sienna. Hi, Sienna. How you doing, sweetheart? Hi, SMN. And Rogue Mama, if you're still here, and General T, if you're still here, first of all, thank you very much for coming in. It is actually good to see you. And it is very important that people need to open their eyes. They need to have an open mind, be unbiased, and look at this from a bigger perspective. Because everything comes down. Everything that you've heard tonight about the SLAPP law, or the SLAPP abbreviation of SLAPP, which, just to remind you guys, right, means strategic lawsuit against public participation. Yeah. It's SLAPP. Yeah. Oh, hello. Who are you? Oh, you're a big girl. Yes, you are. There you go. Off you go. Anyway, so yeah, so it's and Squid. I think that you should. Oh, I feel so honored, Squid. Thank you so much, and you're lucky that I like you. Don't start on me. You wouldn't like me when I get angry. I turn 6'4" and become green and go, huh. Oh God, I'm getting a massage again. Oh shit! Stop messaging me, or I'm going to say really nasty stuff and hurt your feelings for about 10 minutes. Got you, mother. Oh my God, you must be built like a brick shithouse. You did not die on that? Yeah, fucking hell. You must be a bionic daddy longlegs. Fucking hell. I hit that fucker against the wall and he just fucking looked at me and flew away going, yeah, right, you and whose army? Now, here's one thing I want people to remember. Besides, your opinion about me is irrelevant. And here's why. If you are not able to have an opinion about yourself and then you make excuses, then you have no right to make an opinion about anyone else. And just because you make an opinion doesn't mean that people have to like what you say. And they have every right to respond
And if you don't like that, then don't open your trap. Because you're going to come across people who are going to say things that you don't like. Deal with it. And if you can't deal with it, excuse me, go home, turn on the TV and watch the Muppets. No, Jeremy, by law, protected himself against defamation and slander. There's a difference. It's when people use the law or abuse the law to stop people like you, me, and Lisa, and everyone else from discussing the topic. Right? It's not just about the plaintiff and defendant. It's about everybody. Yeah, you are just being annoying. Have you opened one of them freaking... Yeah. Anyway, I'll just let Mama Squid deal with you. You're not going to derail me tonight. There's nothing to be derailed. I'm just absolutely, I've been wanting to talk about this SLAPP thing for a long time, but no one ever went into detail about it. And I just think that like tonight was the perfect, So, guys, ladies and gentlemen, the bar is open. So I've said what I wanted to say. I've introduced you to the topics I wanted to discuss tonight. The bar is now open. Ammo Girl, Eric, if you're still here, and Squid, I would be appreciative if you can check the IDs on people before they go to the bar. And I'll give you a couple of minutes to get yourself, ready. And then we can talk about, general stuff. And people, please be respectful. Please be, treat everyone with the same way you want to be treated. Okay? Pretty please. I did say please. And just a shout out for Rogue Mama. Thank you very much for coming in and saying that. I appreciate that. People's opinions may differ, but I appreciate that you came in and said that. I always respect, and just for the record, I do respect other people's platforms. I will never ever put my link in unless I ask. And if I get a no, then fine. If I get a yes, then I will try to get that, But don't test my resolve. And don't try to... Mama Squid, I've already... Yeah, you may pass. Off to... go and get your gin and tonic. Off you go. Why is Sienna cut off? Why? What have I missed? Lawrence Rowlandson. That is a new name. You're new here, aren't you? Huh. I think it's more to do with the agencies covering up their mistakes. And I think, here's one thing I was told by a acquaintance is over in the States, and none of you guys, and no one who I know from here, and she told me, she says, because obviously I talk to people over in the States about this, because obviously, I can have civil and good conversations, and sometimes with other people here as well. But the first thing she turned around, she says, well, if the feds are involved and they're doing investigations, they're not just going to investigate these people. They're also going to investigate the bodies like the Levy County, the CPS and everything else, because they have to. They have to cover everything. And if mistakes were made, heads will roll, as the saying goes. Now, me personally, I'm very, very, very doubtful, skeptical. There's alarm bells going off left, right, and center when it comes to this notary who went on to the Crampon stream in regards of the adoption and everything else, the discrepancies, the rumors, or the statements that she signed it under process and she wrote that on the documents. He was in prison, they went there 3 times, blah blah. There's so many discrepancies, and everything was done. You got the comments, the statements, contradictory comments, by the way, if you do your research, by Lynette Preston. And I find it quite strange that there was no home visits done. There was nothing. And at the end of the day, when it comes to an adoption, what I find quite interesting is that even during the pandemic, they let a child go with someone without self-isolating. That's what I find quite interesting, is that the child and them were allowed to be taken. That child was allowed to be taken to wherever they went without any proof of self-isolation or COVID tests or taking the injections and shit like that. There's no record of that. But the problem is, because it comes under HIPAA law, people can't go and say, you want to see if you've done the cut. No, you can't do that because it comes under HIPAA law, medical information. And this is why I find it quite strange going to the Uncle Frank situation. Why is it that people were so able and easily able to get the certificate of death? Because there's a difference, you see. Proof of death is death certificate. The medical certificate is the proof of death. Yeah. Just saying. Just pointing that out. Just throwing that out there. I mean, if we're going to use terminology, let's make sure that we know both sides of that terminology. Just saying. So that's why my alarm bells were, I mean, that was just around the time where I just couldn't cope with their voices. But the fact that this notary was on that platform and richly stating that even she saw some discrepancies. But what gets me is the fact that they were able, who had nothing to do with Lynette Preston and John Cook at one point, they were able, like that, right at the early onset of all this, they were able to get the notary on their platform. Don't you find that strange? I thought there was a NDA. I thought there were certain bodies of the government, like notaries and people like that. I thought they had a gag order, like not a gag order, but an NDA, non-disclosure, because what they were discussing was actually private information. So why is a notary who's got nothing to do with Lynette Preston or anyone else, why is a notary going on a stranger's platform on the internet and discussing a case that is sealed and that has nothing to do with Lisa Lee or Tory? That's the question people should be asking. Yeah, SMN, my sincere condolences, dude. We're here if you need me. So that's the question that people should be asking, right? Ask questions, because it's not making any sense. It's just like when they interviewed when they said they interviewed Lynette Preston and basically edited the shit out of it. You know, it's like when people start editing crap, you know they're hiding shit. It's just one of those things. There's, you know, no matter what you say, you are hiding stuff. You are hiding stuff from the public. Hi, David Green. How you doing, big man? Good to see you, dude. Yeah. It is absolutely insane that people think that they're clever and they sit there and go, and they've edited the shit out of it, trying to make it like, you know, trying to create a narrative that, oh yeah, we edited it for, you know, this and this. No, you edited it, but you wanted to convince people, and you've removed some of the crap that could cause problems for you. So people should ask questions. Yes, I know, Squid, and I find that quite funny when you see people throwing their teddy out of the pram and spitting their pacifier out, and they're like, nyeh, nyeh, nyeh. I just sit here and I've got the biggest grin on my face, because at the end of the day, I know I've just proven myself right, and I've proven them wrong. That's why people are pissed off with me, is because, like, no matter what they say, yeah, and I did, yeah, what are you going to do about it? Because I don't use, the only time I use my own narrative, my own context, is when I'm doing this, when I'm talking to people. But when I show stuff, it's factual. It's at 100% factual proof. And it's factual proof with your own words. It's freaking hilarious. And this is why I know for a fact that this case is going to fucking go. This whole thing is going to blow up as soon as this first federal thing done, right? And we haven't even got anywhere near the counter lawsuits for the thumbnail case and the Fantastic Six. You know, they call it the 5. I call it the 6, because you have to add Lloyd into it. You know. But for me, it was always like, I always considered Lloyd be part of that anyway. And I always used to turn around and say, no, the Fantastic Six, because, you know, Corporal Gregory was part of that as well. That went quiet, didn't it? His name suddenly disappeared off the face of the earth. You know. Oh, wait a minute. Isn't General T one of your mods, Squid? That just dawned on me. For some reason, that just fucking went pop. If he's still here. Well, no. Yes, Dave, there are too many cases. I mean, that's why I'm glad that Squid and I have one day a week where we talk about different things that are totally off, nothing to do with any of this. And it's refreshing, to be honest with you. I know she's trying to be a pain in my ass and trying to derail me in that, but I do it to her as well. But the thing is, at the end of the day, it is interesting, very interesting. And like I said, once I settled into a routine with the gaming streams and everything else, I'm gonna start having a panel, and I'm gonna. Hi, Daniel. How you doing, buddy? The thing is, Daniel, this is one thing where you have to understand is it is irrelevant what they say. It is absolutely irrelevant. They have they got no recourse or bearing or powers or anything to say. You know, I mean, the fact that they mentioned me in one of their streams and someone sent me a clip and I listened to it and I couldn't stop laughing. The fact that after all this time, Lisa sat there in a calm manner and went, "Spawn Trooper." And I was like, hang on a second, what have I done to deserve a compliment? Fucking what? Yeah. Everyone tries to press buttons and all that. They don't realize it doesn't bother me one bit. I find it entertaining and somewhat complimentary as well. And oh my word. What was I going to say? Yeah, so do some research on this SLAPP thing. Do. Oh my God, who keeps on messaging me? You better not message. Oh, you. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah. Yeah. And I've noticed that, yeah. Oh yeah. Some people think that we're stupid. I must admit, though, it has been a fantastic ride, but I'm just waiting for I'm going to sit back and watch now. Giving someone else a rest when the lights are on, you spawn. Yeah, I don't mind people putting a light on me. You see, there's I've met some people, they have their opinion, and they've been very constructive with their opinion towards me and other people, but towards me, and I respect that. Sometimes, giving me your opinion is fine, but when you overstep that opinion, when you start questioning my ability to do and say what I want to say, I usually step away, and I just take a moment away, because you don't want to react emotionally, or you don't want to react angrily, because the thing is, word is much better than text. Because then you can actually understand what the person's saying. When you type to someone, you lose the humanity out of conversation. You lose everything from body language, sound of the voice, everything. And I've noticed over the last few months, a lot of people say things in type, and it gets taken out of context, or it gets misunderstood. But one thing I've definitely noticed is that there's a lot of anonymous accounts appearing, right? Which is a good thing, because why not? But at the same time, some of these anonymous accounts were either drop kicked at birth, or they had an lobotomy, one of the two, because some of the stuff that makes no sense when they post it, and then some people post anonymously, and they make the simplest mistakes. And when you've got people who are observers, and they notice things, what happens after a while, they'll get used and get to know that person. And then when suddenly that person disappears, that's the first flag. The person will then suddenly disappear and not post as much as they used to. And then suddenly you will have anonymous posters coming up and everything else. And then what you do, you revert back to you look at the people who've disappeared, and then you look at that, and you put two and two, and then you put both of them next to each other. And it's very easy to find out who people are. Posting anonymously is not as clever as you think. And this is why when you see some posts, you'll know that some of these people will use AI to write what they're saying, because they know you won't be able to figure out who it is when they use AI. However, guess what? I mentioned that a few months ago, and no one paid attention. And if people did pay attention, they didn't say anything. You see, this is the whole thing about this. It's all about subterfuge, deflection. And when you've got a group of people who point out, no, that's wrong, that, right, they get attacked. I just shrugged my shoulders and didn't say it. Oh, God. So anyway, so what do you guys think? What do you think about what I have spoke about tonight? What's your overall opinion? Considering that I've done that in an hour and a half. And I've also covered other topics as well. What is your let's see what you guys think. Yeah, it'll be right. Lisa, I went down a Massachusetts lawyer rabbit hole today after reading Karen Reed article. BB might actually be considered a good lawyer up there. Fucking hell. David Green, that's good. It's been raining here too. It was a nice day today, besides all the bugs. Yeah, it was. It was. I missed what you spoke about, so I don't have to reply. It's all right, Dave. Don't worry about it. You're good, mate. I went down so many rabbit holes with that article. I had to call sports event. Yes, you fucking did. And did I get a wedding fucking sideways? No. So I just sat there for a couple of minutes. I was like, yeah, okay, yeah. So I became the proverbial fucking punch bag today. Hi, Cody. How you doing, mate? Well, you're always late on parade, Cody. I mean, I should richly fucking charge you and march you down to the guard room, give you some jankers. It's good. Some of the court stuff has been absolute madness, corrupt and so wrong. Yeah, there's your slap, Lisa. Not slap like in physical slap. There's your slap. Yeah, that. Yeah, it's this. Hang on a minute. Let me see if I can find it. There you go. That's what we're looking for. Yeah, and I can tell you right now, you watch this appear on people's streams. You watch this appear on I mean, I know Squid probably might cover it, but there's going to be a lot of other people who are going to be they're going to be experts of the subject. Yeah. I find it all very informative. Some of that court stuff gets me swearing at my screen, but I'm thing is though, if Ozygen, if you actually, okay, let's be devil's advocate here for a second. When it all first started, right, you had somewhat decent lawyers for Lynette and John, yeah. But as soon as Bruce got involved, I mean, I don't know about anyone else, but I noticed a instant deterioration of professionalism straight away. The behavior about going on online and stuff like that. But what really got me was the fact that every single thing that I just spoke of with that SLAPP theory was perfectly there to see. And a lot of people obviously either didn't understand it, didn't notice it, or just got pissed off because the guy was talking out of his ass. But after so long now, after coming up to nearly a year, that I've been sort of looking at this, you can actually distinguish the difference between SLAPP and actual fact. It's like day and night. You can see it. I mean, you've got 4 people who have made false accusations, attacked Jeremy Hales on so many different freaking levels. It is, I mean, there should be a fucking, Guinness Book of Record for the amount of different freaking accusations you can make. The fact that they've called him an anti-Semitist, the fact that they've called him a racist, because with not just words, but with depictions of certain historical bodies that existed, 80 years ago or more.
the fact that they are slandering him and others, the fact that they're putting up blogs and dragging people into this, like myself and other people, right? And I'll be very honest with you, on this occasion, I will have to defend Veteran Nation and everyone they've dragged into it, because the thing is, everyone has a freedom of speech. Everyone has the right to expression. The fact is, when you get people who have one goal in mind, and that is to silence, the public discourse, that brings us back to SLAPP. You know, I mean, this is probably one of the only times I would have to say everyone who's been mentioned in that documentation, right, are being basically told us you haven't got the right to speak. You haven't got the right to speak. You know, have freedom of speech. That then you look at the other part, and perfect example. Aussie Jen just mentioned something about Judge Grudge. The way he tried to silence Jeremy. Again, you get it from both fucking sides. There's no ifs or buts about it. There's always going to be that type of behavior, no matter what you do. And Karen, I'll be very honest with you, and I don't think she ever has, because that's another reason why her reaction and her instant decision to retract and remove herself from all this, from that situation, right, should show you. Now, I questioned her motives. I questioned what she was doing when I first came across her. But the thing is, I don't know if I saw it before other people, but I noticed a instant disconnect from Bruce Matskin and other people. And, you know, Shara, you know, she sat there in the forest on her own, surrounded by wolves. And, you know, she decided to stand up for herself and say it as it is, you know. But I find it quite strange that when she puts up messages and information and stuff like that, nothing is said. But then again, that, you know, rightly so, she should show the truth, and rightly fairly so. But when other people do it, like myself, you know, Squid or someone else, or it's the bad thing. And that again takes you back into SLAPP. They're trying to push a narrative that will support them. And a lot of people go, "Oh, why are you not covering this?" It's because I'm not going to allow them to try that technique on me. I'm going to, you know, with some circumstances I will say it. And that's why I recently turned around and say, right, I'm going to say what I fucking think I want to say, as long as I don't fucking break the fucking rules of freedom of speech. And when you try to stop someone from that exact right, that's when shit starts getting legal. But what I want you guys to do, I want you to go and research SLAPP. I want you to go and research social bullying. Go and research cyberbullying, harassment. Go and research fucking all this, and you will find that I'm right. Or my own personal observations is correct. You see, now, I would like to answer that, Squid, to that comment, but I don't. I'd rather take the fifth. I'm pleading the fifth. Well, over here we call it the 4.5. So I'm gonna go ahead and just go ahead and say, yeah, I'm gonna plead the fifth on that one. I could richly, yeah. But anyway, now I'm going to give you guys the opportunity to respond in what I've been saying. So do me a favor, if you want to respond to it, it's just like the Q&A, right? Hit the app, and then put my name there, and then go ahead and let's have a discourse, because it's only fair that you guys can respond. I mean, Squid does it a lot, but just kidding. Sienna, Squid, I'm a redhead and a loudmouth. Oh, that reminds me.
Hey, anonymous person who wants to play with me, who's very entertaining. Stop trying to hide behind words that you hear from other people, and stop trying to hide behind anonymous, because when you use the word or the terminology POM, right? How many Americans in here know what POM is? Right? If you know what POM is and you're from America, okay, press 1. If you don't, press 2. You see? Spawn, looking at our law and order just mental and unfair. Spawn, looking at our law and order and justice, mental and unfair. Yeah, I mean, yeah, our system, to be honest with you, went array beginning in the late 70s, 80s, because you have to remember, Lisa, after Hungerford and Dunblane, after those incidents, the law changed in a drastic way, in a very drastic way. And it changed people's perspective, it changed people's attitude, not just towards each other, but also to the system, the government, the law, and everything else. You know, and I think that not a lot of Americans will know about Hungerford and Dunblane, but they were what you would call in America, what do you call it? School shootings or shootings, large shootings. POM, POM, hose picker, POM. And no, hose picker, do not Google. Do not Google. Because that's cheating. You can't Google. Okay, squid. No, actual fact, I'm letting you off on this one. Mama squid. What is a POM? No Googling. I tell you one thing, no Googling. No. No. Let me give you an explanation. Basically, the terminology appeared around 1912. Don't ask me. Yeah, I think pomegranate. That's where it originated. But it was actually used mostly for immigrants. I believe. I think it was after the First World War, or Second World War. I can't remember exactly, but it was basically I can't remember, something about subsidized Brits, and it was something to do with migrants to Australia and New Zealand, and that's where the POM nickname comes from. Yeah, there you go. And not a lot of Americans know that unless they have actually heard the terminology. They've got Australian friends or they got British friends, but POM is like it's like calling the Germans call the Brits Tommies, and we call them Jerrys, or stuff like that. So, and unless you're very educated, when you use the word POM, yeah, that's a giveaway. Now, maybe it's someone who's educated and is trying to deflect and trying to, pop smoke, but the mistake was already made by the first time they posted, so it doesn't matter. It's like me turning around to a Marine calling him a Pongo, or or Jarhead, or Pongo's Navy, but Jarhead or something like that. No, Pongo's not Navy. Pongo's Army. Yeah. No, yeah. Sorry about Americans aren't that smart. Squid, don't worry about it. Oh, yeah, I remember what Pongo. Navy call, the Navy call us Pongos. It's got multiple meanings, but they call us Pongos. Which is quite funny, actually, because they pong anyway. I don't think it's only because having two in a pom-poms as pom. Yeah, we're not going to use that. We're not going to use those words here. Sorry about that, but I'm removing that. Cody, let's not use the prawn word, please. Actual fact. Sorry about that, but I draw a line on that. I don't want that. I mean, I know it's a joke, but I'm sorry, but that no. No. People can say it, but not here. Please understand that. I do apologize. Yeah. If you want to, yeah. So I do apologize, but no, I think it's bad enough that people are using it as a vindictive way. I know that you're joking and everything, but nope. Sorry. Yeah, shy to it. I mean, we call the Royal Marines over here. Well, we've got nicknames for them. I mean, mine is I call people I call certain individuals mushrooms, because when they're down in the prone position, they do look like a mushroom. It's just like certain battalion. I'm not going to go into it because I'll end up slipping up and giving away the battalion I was in. And I'm not going to do that because I'm not here to talk about my career. Not sure you need my past correctly for, but the word I posted is an actual thing here, used by cheerleaders. Like, oh, okay. My apologies. See, if I do something wrong, I'm happy to apologize publicly. But Cody, I've already told you privately, we're not here to talk about your enjoyment and fun of your new hobby about cheerleading. Okay, it's not everyone's cup of tea, dude. I told you we don't need to see you in your attire with your pom poms. Yes, Autobots roll out. God, I miss doing that. I haven't done that for a while, have I? Or Mister. Alrighty then. Oh yeah. Anyway, guys, I hope that you've enjoyed tonight. Oh my God. Oh God, oh God, oh God. Right, anyway, so Here's a word of advice for everyone. If you want to get the truth and you want to get the facts, and if you at any time, no shit, skirt, Sherlock. I know that they're pom poms. It says underneath it, pom poms. Duh. All right, Lisa. Good night, sweetheart. Good night, my flower. You have a good one. Right. Anyway. Unless anyone doesn't have any questions or anything, I am going to call it night. I think we've the bar is now officially closed. Ladies and gentlemen, ding ding. Last orders at the bar. So I would like to thank everyone for being here and coming here. And I would like to thank for people who subscribed, came in, said hello, and then unsubscribed and then left again. Not sure why you did that, but okay. But thank you very much for coming in. Thank you very much for being respectful. And thank you very much for just saying hi. I appreciate that. And to everyone else, again, what is a POM? It's basically to identify a Brit, because migrants now that I can remember, it was after the second, right, it first was mentioned because of pomegranate after 1912, but I couldn't remember if it was after the First World War or after the Second World War, when immigrants from here decided to go to Australia and New Zealand. All right, and that's where the nickname came from. But don't forget, we also had prisoners who would be shipped to Australia, because the further away from the country, the less chances of them returning and causing, and you'd be very surprised that some of the prisoners who went to Australia and New Zealand were, multi serial killers, people who unalived many, many people, but they just, when they got there, it's like they changed, which was a good thing. Oh, Baileys and coffee. Nice. Yeah, it can. I mean, it depends, Cody. It depends how you take it. It's like, when someone from Australia or New Zealand calls me a pom, I just ignore them, because it's not an insult. It's like, I mean, sometimes I just want to turn around and say, fucking come back. Wait, listen, we're not in the 19th century. Come into the 21st century, for crying out. Come on, you can't use something that's outdated. Use your own, use your own jokes. Just saying. Just saying. Oof, yeah. Well, yeah, Shannon. You see, here's the thing. Like, a lot of people, and this is historically, right? People have got a lot of historical DNA from Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and England, right? And I get that, but there was a professor years ago. It was quite funny what he said, actually. Well, it's quite intriguing, actually. He turned around. He said, "There are people who go around and say, oh, I'm this and I'm that and blah 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 blah." And then I turned around, and this is the professor. He said, and then I turned around and I said, "Do you know where Hollywood is?" And they were going, "Yeah, it's in California." No, Hollywood. What's that? Hollywood. It's a part of Belfast in Northern Ireland.
Have you ever been to Dublin or Inniskillen or anywhere in Southern Ireland? No. But your ancestors were from Ireland, correct? Yeah. So have you contacted anyone from your ancestors? Have you done any research on your family tree? No. So why would you stand there and say a quarter of this, quarter of that, 25% this, 16% of that, 1.5% of this, and Norwegian? At the end of the day, the first thing you should be proud of, and you should be standing there and standing your ground and be extremely proud of, is that you were born in America. So therefore, you are an American. Your ancestry are the ones who brought you to that country. Right? It doesn't mean that you are. Your ancestry were. So that means you have somewhere in your genes, not genes that you wear, but somewhere in your family tree is that at one point you had Irish, Scottish, Welsh, English, whatever in your bloodline. But you are not Irish or Welsh or anything. You are American. Right? However, people just dig into it and they go, yeah, okay, fair enough. You're a Viking, you're a Scottish, Irish, German Viking with a Polish accent. Not a problem. That is absolutely what, but you live in downtown Chicago where every 5 seconds there's a gunshot. Okay, I get it. Not a problem. But try to be realistic. You're American. You are an American. Because technically, you're not. Americans are native to the country. You are an immigrant. So technically, right, you are part-time American. But, I mean, I'm not going to go into it. At the end of the day, right, you should be proud of where you come from. You be proud of your heritage. Be proud of your family tree. And be proud to be American, just like I am being proud of being a Welshman. Simple as that. I mean, I'm surprised no one's coming in and said, "Yeah, I've got Mexican, Puerto Rican, Cuban, Canadian, Floridian, German, Norwegian, Irish, Scottish, Welsh, Polish, Czechoslovakian, Spanish, Moroccan bloodline." Okay, but you're still American, aren't you? Yeah, it's just like when you go to France, I go to Canada. And suddenly you're talking French. Bonjour, I am from Quebec. I am a Quebecois, and I am a French Quebecois. I am a French Canadian. Huh? And you're going, Monsieur, t'as fou la tête? T'as fou la tête, monsieur? And I go, pourquoi? Je n'ai fou la tête. Oh, oui, je fou la tête ici. And you go, why do you think I am crazy in the head? Why would you say that? What is the reason you say that I'm crazy in the head? That is connerie. Well, no, not really. Where were you born? Here, in Canada. In Canada, yeah. I was born here. Okay, you were born in Canada. What does it say on your passport? It says where I was come from, Canada. Okay, so you are Canadian, correct? Yeah. So the only difference is that you were born in the French part of Canada, which is Canada. It doesn't mean you're fucking French. It means you were born in the French part of Canada because, when they turned up for their little fur hunting seasons in them days, right, they didn't go that far. That's why down in America, in Louisiana or in Baton Rouge, right, is the French parts and everything, So let me ask you a question. If a French Canadian goes, I'm a French, I'm a French Quebecois,
So why is it that people down in Cajun land, down in Baton Rouge, and why are they not turning around and say, "Yeah, I'm French American, hein? I'm French American. Welcome to America. Bonjour, bonjour, bienvenue, la américain, la française." Oui. I mean, for fuck's sake, give it a rest, will you? If it says American on your passport, you're American. If it says Canadian, you're Canadian, right? But here in the United Kingdom, there's a difference. It doesn't say if you're from Scotland or from Ireland or from Wales or England. It says British citizen. Interesting, don't you think? Germans are German. Where are you from? I am from Germany. I am from Hamburg, and I will say this once. I like the English beer, and when I drink the English beer, I sound very, very like my great uncle, who is originally from Dundee of the North Scotland. Yeah, and yeah, these are the ways that we used to like. However, we had a slight mishap during the turn of the century, i.e., like, so between the 1910s and the 1950s, yeah, the whole time in between this was absolutely insanity, yeah? And you know, my ancestors must have turned in their grave, especially if they were killed, yeah. I mean, the kilt was wirklich ein Wunderstück, yeah. You know, and then you've got Italian and Spanish, and it's just amazing, the fantasy world. That, look, be proud of your where you're from, but remember, in every culture, in every country, you have a minority, and these people, you know, once in a while when you walk past, just throw a banana or an apple or a bottle of water or something, just to make sure they you know, they get fed and watered, and just keep them at a distance and don't be attracted. It's just like, oh, I can't help it, it's the light, you know. But there you go, people. So, mesdames and messieurs, ladies and gentlemen, meine Damen und Herren, I would like to thank you for being here tonight. I hope that you enjoyed the stream, and I hope that you are I think you misunderstood. I think you misunderstood me, Cody. But we'll cover that another day. I forgot what I was going to say now. You know, comments like that usually stop me in my tracks, and I'm like, "What? What is this insanity?" Yes, but you're misunderstanding what I'm saying, squid. What I'm saying is, you've got your ancestry and everything else, and yes, you can be proud of that. But at the end of the day, if you were born in Canada, then you are Canadian. If you were born in America, you're American. But the ancestry should not be part of your argument when you go, well, I can fucking talk about the Scots, I can talk about the, you know, if you, this is what causes, sometimes this is what causes arguments between people, because when you try to stimulate or insinuate that you know something better than I do about my own country, you know, or you know, someone from Germany or something like that. I mean, I speak broken French, I speak fluent German, I speak multiple other languages on a basic level. Right? Does that mean that I'm German or French? Or no? I mean, my ancestry, I'm not even going to discuss my ancestry because you guys would fucking laugh your ass off. Right? But at the end of the day, your family tree and your ancestry are important. However, you were not born in 1815 or in 1776 or in 1756 or whatever. You know, you didn't go over there in 1812 or 1850 and immigrate to America or Canada or Australia or New Zealand or anything. What I'm talking about is today. There's a difference, and I respect it. There's, you know, we can agree to disagree and disagree to agree,
But for me, it's important that we all remember where we're originally from, and that is where we were born. What happened in the past, what happened in the past is ancestry, is a bloodline, but bloodline has changed over time. There's an evolution of bloodlines. Does that make sense? I mean, my bloodline, from, I'm not going to go into detail, but I can tell you right now, it goes back to the 11th century. There was people in my family who did research all the way back to the 11th century. And some of my bloodline, is fairly embarrassing. But at the same time, it's not, because it's very interesting. But I personally was born in Wales. So therefore I'm Welsh. I'm not Irish, Scottish, or German. I'm Welsh. That's what I'm trying to say. And I know it's a very sticky topic, because a lot of people get very offended very quickly about it when you discuss that stuff. But think about what I'm saying. Don't take it out of context. Don't misinterpret what I'm saying as a dig. It's not. Because let's put it this way: if people are offended by someone talking about history, why in the last 7 years have people tried to remove historical artifacts from their history? People should learn from history. May it have been a good history or bad history. Everyone needs to learn to move forward, learning from the mistakes their country, their culture, no matter what, did in the past. Don't take it away and try to hide it. Learn from it. And I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. And I get it. A lot of people are going to be pissed off and upset with what I'm saying, but at the end of the day, it's fact. It's fact. I mean, I can talk about certain things that have happened over the last 7 years, 8 years, that would throw a red. And I don't like talking about religion, race, politics, or genders, or all this stuff, because it is a minefield. But when it comes to history and historic backgrounds or bloodlines and stuff like that, you have to remember that there's a thing called evolution, and at some point DNA. Do you know what's the first person who's said something that actually it does make a point? DNA is DNA. But don't forget evolution. The bloodline will continue, but there's evolution. Right? At some point, right, your bloodline will, from the history, from the 16th century, 17th, 18th, 19th century, in a family tree, you'll notice there's going to be an evolution, right? And I read a book, a while back, and it says that it's going to take 200 years to basically clean a bloodline out of a family tree. 200 years. Think about that. But be proud of your family tree, be proud of your heritage, and be proud of who you are, and be proud of where you're from. Don't judge people like if it was a fucking hobby. People have an opinion. And when you start attacking people from where they come from, then it's only fair to bring it up. Because no one is perfect. No one has the right to attack someone. It may be on a, on a personal level, or attack their family tree. But when you talk about it, it can become very unpleasant very quickly. But my intent is not to do that. My intent is to just, hey, look, we all come from somewhere, but we're all going somewhere. My grandchildren, their children, yeah. At some point, none of us who are here right now, and they're going to be here, right, in 50 years or 60 years time or 70 years time, right, there's going to be a generation, they probably won't even fucking remember about our great-grandfathers or great-great-grandfathers or our granddads or even our aunties and that. Yeah? So think about that. That's what I'm saying. So if you're going to judge someone's heritage and stuff like that, think about your own. Think about everything I've just said. And I'm not saying that you guys have. I'm just saying it as a topic of conversation that's probably going to come up. Oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's full of fucking shit. Yeah, really? I'm still not here 50, 60 years from now. What happens if they, oh God, can you imagine? You could spend one day in the future and you choose to go in the future by 80 years and then you see what it's like. I'm telling you right now, it's not going to be fucking any better than it is now. Because you know what they say. Here's one thing. I mean, I'm going deep. For some reason, I'm going deep tonight. Here's one thing I want you to think about. Humanity. There is a thing about evolution, right? You've got humanity, the evolution of the industrial evolution. Everything grows. People learn. You progress. So here's a couple of questions that you should ask yourself. Why is it? And this has been factually proven. This is one of the fucking brilliant things. Why is it that people have spent the last 30 years trying to disclaim that America, NASA, American pilots, American citizens, regardless of where they're from, stood on the fucking moon in the 60s and the 50s? The technology put them on the moon. And now suddenly today, they don't want to send anyone out of space because there's a ring around the Earth that's so radiative that it could kill you like that. But the people who went to the moon lived on. Okay, there was a couple of fatalities, which is sad. I think that was Apollo 11. I can't remember. But in the 60s, they put people in space and they put people on the moon. And here we are now, 60 years later, 60 fucking years later, and what they're doing, they're putting people in a man sausage looking rocket, shoot it up into low orbit, where you just hit the part where you've got zero gravity, and then 5 minutes later or 20 minutes later, they come back down again. All right, but in the 80s, they had space shuttles going up. In the 60s, they had people on the moon, and that has been factually proven. All right, so all these naysayers and conspiracy people, fucking use your loaf, right? So can you imagine the reverse evolution that's happened over the last 60 years? You would think that the world would come together and go, hey, shit, if we can put people on the moon in the 60s, and by the year 2000, we will be able to send people to Mars on a fucking round trip holiday. But there's always an excuse. There's always an excuse. Yeah.
Don't you find that interesting? And Squid's got a good question. Will the world be here in 80 years? Will it be here in 5? With the mentality and with the behavior of humanity that's going on at the moment? I mean, look what's happening in the States right now. You're going through what we went through last year with the riots that we had. And now you're having it. So will it be here in 5 years? Well, but that's just just conspiracies and people talking. But remember evolution. 60 years ago, we put people on the moon. Well, you guys put people on the moon. 30 years ago, they built the ISS, the International Space Station. But no one actually ever decided to actually do a check about, has anyone else got a space station up there? Because the fucking Chinese have. And you got India, China, and Japan, and all these other countries dropping, satellites or probes onto the moon. Hey, America, wake up. You guys were the leading edge of space travel. So what happened? What happened to NASA? What happened to the progression of just saying. Think about it, people. Evolution. We're all responsible for evolution. The behavior, the thing. Here's the thing about evolution. We're all responsible for what happens tomorrow. Yeah. Our actions dictate what happens tomorrow. Yeah. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But the thing is, if you've got governments and you've got scientists and you've got professional bodies who can create a vehicle that can fly in the sky, you could create a vehicle that can fly around in space or deep underwater, why the hell aren't we going to the moon or visiting planets in our solar system or creating equipment to save cancer patients or people people with disabilities, with physical disabilities, paraplegic, about something that can help people walk again, or something that can help people be free of whatever they're struggling with. With all this evolution, you would have think that we would have had that by now. I mean, the fact that 60 years ago we put humans on, but we can build equipment that can fly 2,000 miles and fly through a bloody window, right, and blow up in someone's face. You know what I mean? But I'm just being sort of like, I'm giving you some information here. I'm giving you food for thought. Just think about it. But anyway, guys, if there's no questions, I am going to go dink. I am going to call it, and I would like to appreciate and thank everyone for being here tonight. And thank you very much for your very constructive input, especially Cody, Squid, and everyone else. It's very nice to actually talk about stuff like this and have a constructive conversation, even if we don't agree or if we do agree. It's fantastic that everyone kept peaceful and everyone was constructive in what they said, and I would like to thank you all for that. I appreciate your candor. I appreciate your input. And ladies and gentlemen, this is what you call a community. This is fantastic. And I'm getting a massage. I'm getting a massage. No, I appreciate like, you know, and if anyone's got anything, if anyone's got anything to say, that's because we live in a society of it's all about me, me, me. No, Mama Squid, it's me, 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 me. What do you mean you're next? What have you done? Wait, Mama Squid, what have you done? Speak up, explain yourself. What have you done? Why am I concerned? Why am I worried? Why am I afraid? Oh God, I could use a massage used to get... No, Cody, get your fucking head out of the gutters. I said a massage, not a massage. Right? There's a massage and a massage. It's a massage. I'm not cheap. You think I do for shit for free? What do you think I am? Easy? Right, anyway, guys, I hope that you enjoyed the stream tonight, and I hope that you've realized that, like, you know, I don't have to explain myself. I don't have to sugarcoat anything. I'm not going to kiss your ass, that's for sure, right? And I'm not going to use excuses, but I'm glad that you guys enjoyed each other tonight in conversation. Bloody hell, that was close. And I'm not sure if I go live tomorrow. If I go live tomorrow, I probably might do a gaming stream, but other than that, have a good night. Yeet.
They go live every night selling drama on demand with crampons sitting on their ass and dicky on hand. Fake tears falling, oh I'm just speaking truth, while they pocket super chats and exploit the loons. Gator rolls in trying to act real cool, but he's stirring up heat, breaking all the rules. Haters in a circle, all bark, no bite, till Spawn Trooper drops and it flips on the light. Spawn Trooper, he bring truth and facts to the land. Spawn Trooper, he says the situation at hand. Spawn Trooper, is weak with this one. Deuces in the mix, spinning lies for the stream. He acts like a king, but his throne's just a meme. Dodging all the questions with a scripted phrase, trying to fool the crowd, but he's just a face. Bones Lacker's got a seat at the front of the show, putting up a front, but got nowhere to go. Guano's hiding in shadows, throwing shade in the chat. They all act tough, but Spawn Trooper's on that. Spawn Trooper, he bring truth and facts to the land. Spawn Trooper, he says the situation at hand. Weak with this one. Now the people rise, no longer blind. The lies unravel one stream at a time. Truth's not merch, it don't come in packs. And Spawn Troopers got receipts, not just attacks. He says turn off the feed, walk into the sun. This war for your mind, it's already begun. With clarity, blazing like a saber so bright, he leads the way through the digital night. Spawn Troopers say, I see you playing, keeping up the show, spinning your stories, but the truth starts to flow. Your gators pull high like you're some kind of lord, but all you're doing striking out with the faulty sword. You're no warrior, just a puppet on strings. Your fake crown don't mean a thing. The game's up now, you're out of move. Spawn Troopers here to expose your groove. Spawn Trooper, he bring truth and facts to the land. Spawn Trooper, he assesses the situation at hand. Then he say the words, truth don't kneel to no one man. Trooper, the force is weak with this one.
Truth will rise in the end, no place for deceit.
May grim unwind, get a whole group on. The force is weak with this whole bunch.